health insurance, daily fitness activities, mental health counseling, and a variety of other wellness programs, such as EAP, as to what you're attending today. This is one of many, many sessions that we'll be hosting in the coming weeks. And thank you so much for joining us today. And we hope you can take something back from this. Over to you, Khushbu.
Thanks, Rohit. So now I will give a brief about today's session and introduce our expert. So the session will include topics like important nutrients to increase immunity, foods that strengthen and weaken the immune system, nutrition for post-COVID recovery, healthy lifestyle tips to help build immunity, and balanced eating strategies. The session is taken by Karina Adnani. She is a dietitian and certified health educator with a passion for helping people. She received her bachelor's degree in cell biology, molecular biology, and genetics from Boston University, USA, and completed her postgraduate degree in clinical nutrition and dietetics from SNDT University, Mumbai. After completing her dietetic internship at Hinduja Hospital and Guru Nanak Hospital, she started her own practice and is now a member of the Indian Dietetic Association. She's been a keynote speaker at corporates, yoga institutes, and NGOs, and believes in making healthful changes to improve quality of life. She has designed nutrition plans for Bollywood celebs like Rakul Preet Singh and Siddharth Malhotra. Welcome, Karina, once again. Before we begin the session, I would like to list some instructions to have a great webinar experience. Please be on mute until the Q&A session. During the Q&A, you can raise your hand and post your questions to the speaker. You can also use the chat box to post your questions. Feel free to post the queries during presentation as well. And it can be taken during the Q&A. Over to you, Karina.
Thank you, Khushbu, and a very, very good evening to all the participants who've joined us for this session today on how to build immunity, effectively maintain your health in the times that we're facing currently. I would appreciate if everyone can be on mute whilst we're having the session. Of course, you all can engage and interact as well. You have the chat box and we have a couple of polls lined up for you as well. But I would really appreciate if you all can really put your, your thoughts, your doubts, your concerns, any kind of, health problems that you all are facing as well. I would like to address that today. If you can just post that in the chat box whilst we're having the session. We will take as many questions towards the end. We have the last 15 minutes reserved for Q&A and discussion. Meanwhile, if you have any doubts or concerns, I would like you all to post that in the chat box. All right. I'm just going to start sharing my screen. So I hope everybody can see my screen and that is visible to everybody now. As I said earlier, we are going to be discussing today how to effectively manage our immunity. Now, one very commonly used word which has been floating around in the last couple of months is the word boost immunity, right? Boosting immunity or amping up immunity, or many a times we're hearing these words very loosely being used by professionals or by media professionals or by social media experts. And to simply put in a very simplified fashion, immunity is nothing but the body's ability to fight off infection, right? Immunity is the body's ability to protect itself. So in a very simplified fashion, I would like to put across complex, physiological conditions and physiological problems that we face in a more easy fashion to make it easy for everyone to grasp and understand. But the word boost is also used, without much caution or without, any careful consideration. The word boost actually does not go with immunity because our immunity or our immune cells can go into overdrive as well, right? So many a times we don't understand that a certain nutrient has the capacity to boost or to basically let our immune system go into overdrive to a level where it can cause toxicity, and our own immune cells can start reacting or can start defending against the body cells itself. So our immune cells are effectively made to help protect against any virus, bacteria, or any toxins for that matter, as we all know. But At the same time, if you are having a particular nutrient, or maybe if you are trying to have a particular nutrient not in the right optimum amount, right, or in a overdose amount, which is not required by the body, your immune system can get triggered and go into an overdrive situation, which is seen in autoimmune disorders like thyroid, PCOD, arthritis. So we have to understand, the importance of immunity. The right nutrients in the right amount, in the right proportion is what is important, and one must be careful while using the word boost. All right. Great. So today we have a very, very interesting presentation planned for you all. We're going to start off by discussing immunity. What does it mean? What are the key nutrients to effectively manage, our immunity and help with COVID and battling this disease as well? We all know this pandemic, since the last 2 years, we've been, grasped with many illnesses, diseases, and people are having COVID even till date, right? People are falling prey to the variants of COVID for that matter. So it's very important to understand what are the key steps to be taken to not only protect yourself, but in case you fall prey to COVID, what are the right kind of solutions or the right nutrients or the foods that we can eat, as well as the strategies we can employ on a daily basis as well, which can help improve and help us combat this disease in a more simplified way. You must have noticed that somebody who has had a past history of diabetes, hypertension, let's say who has a heart disorder for that matter, or even an inflammation disease like a PCOD or a PCOS, has a worse outcome of COVID, right? Because they take longer to recover. Their body is already dealing with inflammation. So it's very important to be in a good health state, regardless of COVID come May, yes or no. Right? So we have to be in a good, healthy state and maintain our immunity, maintain our well-being. So I'll be discussing some key recipes, some do's and don'ts. I'll also give you all some simple tips to maintain a healthy lifestyle. All right. And towards the end, as I said, we're going to have a Q&A round, which is served. The purpose of it will be to take all your queries and questions. All right. So let's get started without any further delay. As I said, immunity, the word immunity is used so loosely and constantly by people, but we don't understand the crux of it, right? So immunity is nothing but the body's ability to just protect itself from any harmful toxins. And what are these toxins, right? These toxins could be anything. It could be the environment the air we're breathing in the environment, right? Today we have pollutants in the environment. We have chemicals, fertilizers, and pesticides being added to our crops, right? Those could prove as toxins as well. There could be chemicals and additives that are added as preservatives to our food, packaged products, which also can be toxic in nature. There are germs, bacteria, viruses. In the case of COVID-19, of course, there are fungi, parasites, all of these, right? They classify as toxins and they can all prove to be harmful for our body, right? So all these are present in nature. And we as individuals have to ensure that our immunity is good to support our health and to combat any of the diseases or any of the repercussions from these toxins. All right. So as I said, the body has built a very careful barrier, a natural barrier, which it will use to ward off infection or toxins. All right. And this is the body's first checkpoint. All right. This is the body's first checkpoint, which is used to protect against any kind of harmful toxins. And this is nothing but the skin on your hand, right? It's a barrier, it's a physical barrier, the hair on your head, the hair inside your nose as well. It traps all the bacteria, the wax in your ears, the tears in your eyes, right? They will release an enzyme which will actually help prevent any kind of bacteria or toxins. Even the acid in our stomach. Today we know that our stomach is made up of, it has some HCl acid, right? And that acid will neutralize any bacteria that is about to enter our body. So our body has been very carefully designed, right? And it's so beautifully designed for that matter that this is a natural checkpoint. So the second question that people ask me is that if our body has the capacity to ward off infection and we have these natural barriers present, then why do we get a disease? Right? Why is it that these barriers are not good enough to protect us? Right? So the reason is two. There are two main reasons why these germs or toxins will win over the body, and they will win over and they will cross this natural barrier and cause a disease. The number one reason is if the germs in question, in the case of COVID-19, we know the virus is extremely, the virality is so high. It comes in large numbers, right? It causes and it overwhelms our immune system. So the first reason is if the germs are too destructive in nature, if they're large in numbers and it overwhelms your body, where the natural barrier is not effective to put a full stop and to stop it from entering our body, right? And number two is if your own body's immunity is not strong enough to ward off that infection or to ward off that particular toxin in time. So your body's ability to bounce back is not that great, which is definitely in our control. We know that we can't control tomorrow if there is a second, third, fourth, fifth wave of COVID, right? Or any bacterial population which is taking over our environment. That's not under our control to an extent. But what is in our control are our lifestyle factors, our particular routine, our food habits, right? All those factors are under our control. So does anyone know that how can immunity be effectively managed? By which important factors, right, can our immunity be managed? In fact, what are the factors that influence our immunity, which are in our hands? Can we have the poll, please? So there are some particular factors which directly influence our immunity and which are modifiable, which are under our control, right? Factors like genetic factors, hereditary, your makeup, your medical history are probably not under your control to an extent. But these factors are something which are under your control, right? And I would like everyone to answer this poll right now before I move forward in order to understand what are these factors and how can we effectively manage them. Right? What are these factors which directly influence our well-being, our immunity, and the way we approach our health? I'm just going to give you all a couple of more seconds to answer the question, and then we'll address the modifiable factors head on. All right, so we have more answers coming in. I'm just going to give a couple of seconds more for everyone to answer, and then we can move forward. All right, so we have the poll results, and what I can see is that most of y'all have said that all of the above, right? There's stress, there's sleep, there's diet, there's physical activity. All of the above are equally important and they contribute towards your well-being, towards your immunity, right? As I said, the word supporting your immunity and not boosting your immunity is crucial out here. So I'm going to try and just take you all to the next slide right now. Just give me 1 second. All right. So as I said, that the immune system can be supported, can be strengthened by these modifiable factors. And these are the pillars of your health. I always refer to them as the foundation of your health. Just like a building requires a strong foundation, a strong base, these 4 pillars of health are what are going to be crucial in understanding your immunity. All right. Remember, a healthy lifestyle, which involves longevity, good mood, good digestion, right? Free of diseases. And all of that includes these 4 pillars. Healthy eating is number 1, which I'll be discussing at length today. Number 2 is managing your stress levels. Do you know that your stress levels directly influence your immunity? In fact, the stress hormone called cortisol will affect your gut health and affect your immunity, and it will lead you to actually either having a strong barrier or a weak barrier. So the main reason why you have lower immunity, or you have not a good immunity for that matter, is because one of the reasons is that you are stressed. You're constantly either taking stress because it could be an emotional stress, a psychological stress. It could be a stress that is metabolically induced because of a disease as well. So stress can be of various kinds, right? But that stress will cause a hormone to be released in our system called cortisol, which will weaken our gut lining, which will weaken our immunity. All right. So it's very important to understand the relationship between stress as well as your immunity and your gut. Third most important pillar is your sleep, right? And I'll be discussing all these at length. But just to say, simply, place it out here today, is that sleep is something which, many of us, we take for granted. We feel that, okay, if we get those 5 hours of sleep, if we are overworking ourselves, even if we get those 4 hours of good quality sleep, we will not have any repercussions, right? We can just have a shot of, let's say, some caffeine or some kind of tea or espresso and get away with it, right? But your sleep is the time that most of your cells are rejuvenated. All your cells actually go into repair mode. Your hormones are manufactured whilst you are asleep. So if you're not getting that 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep at night, right? Not disturbed sleep, sleep that is good quality sleep, fixed sleep wake schedule. If you do not have that, then it is going to cause your body to have problems because your cells are not repaired, your hormones are not manufactured, which means that all your hormones that support your health, your brain health, your mental health, those will not be released when you wake up in the morning, right? So you'll be irritable, you'll be moody, you'll have low energy levels, you'll have low ability to have concentration and less focus as well. So remember that it's very important to get good quality sleep. It will directly influence your eating habits and in your immunity as well. Number 4 is your physical activity. We all know that physical activity or clocking in that physical regime every day, at least 30 to 40 minutes dedicated, is very crucial too. Why? Because it causes good blood circulation. It's not just good for your physical health, it's important that all your organs get oxygenated for proper functioning of their everyday functioning of the organs. Very important to get good blood circulation, very important for your mental well-being as well. Today, if you don't have physical activity, how are you going to get your muscles and your body to get the oxygen in your brains, right? You have to ensure that you're having good amount of physical activity for your mental health to be good as well, because physical activity will actually release some feel-good chemicals called endorphins. When you work out, these feel-good chemicals are released in your system, which directly influence your mood as well. All right. So the first thing we'll be taking today is the role of nutrition. All right. We all know how important nutrition is in terms of immunity. And today our focus will be on these key nutrients. All right. So does anyone know that how does nutrition affect immunity directly? In fact, most of the bacteria or the toxins that are entering our body are either through our nasal passage or through our mouth. In fact, more so through our mouth. All right. And what tends to happen if most of these toxins are entering our body through our mouth? We need to ensure that these bacteria, these toxins are actually they are kept away or they are actually separated from our bloodstream, right? Even though we are exposed to it, our body has to have a natural barrier to prevent it from causing a havoc in our immune system, right? So a simple analogy out here for you all to better understand this. Today, if we have two states that are separated by a border, right? We have borders that are separating two different states. Your soldiers have to be sent to the borders to protect your borders from invasion. Similarly, in your body as well, you have a very, very thick line of cells that are called the gut cells or the gut lumen that are actually represented in this slide. All right, as those brown color layer of cells. And these layer of cells are tightly bound together. They are tightly lined up together without any gaps in them. They are almost like a border separating two states, right? Today, when you are exposed to any toxin in your body and you ingest it, right? These toxins will be kept away by that gut lining. This gut lining will be like a border. It will separate your bad bacteria, your toxins from invading or causing a havoc in your immune system. And your immune cells are actually soldiers that are actually present at the border. All right. So in case there is a bacteria which leaks through your gut, or there is a toxin which leaks through your gut, your immune cells or your soldiers are standing at the border to protect your body against invasion. All right. And if they do cause a havoc, we know our immune system is equipped with the right kind of machinery and tools to fight off and ward off the infection. All right. So remember that most of your immune cells are located inside your gut. That's how important your gut is. Your gut is nothing but your entire gastrointestinal tract, right from your mouth to your esophagus, to your intestines, to your colon, up till your excretory organs. So remember, your gut is crucial when it comes to maintaining your immunity, because most of your immune cells are residing in your gut. All right, that's how important your digestion, your gut health, your food habits, your food choices are when it comes to maintaining good immunity. All right, so let's first discuss today what are the particular nutrients or what are the factors which actually weaken your immune system. As I said, there are certain factors which will harm or weaken your immune system, and it will cause breaks in that border. Today, if your border has gaps in between, anybody can easily enter and invade and cause a havoc, right? Any toxin can enter. Similarly, if this gut lining is weakened, if this gut lining is extremely weak, this can lead to invasion and causing a havoc in your immune system. So by havoc, I mean your immune system going into a overdrive, where they have to combat the infection. Antibodies have to be produced. Your T cells, B cells have to come into play, and there has to be those toxins that are taken care of before the toxins will cause a problem to your body cells and kill your body cells. All right, so remember that your immune system can be weakened if your gut lining is weak. And what weakens this gut lining, what will cause this gut lining to get weakened and to have gaps in between them? If you are stressed, number one, that I keep repeating again and again, that stress levels can weaken this gut border. It can cause gaps in the gut border. Chronic infections, as I said, people who have diabetes, hypertension, high cholesterol, thyroid, arthritis, any of these diseases, if you are battling from, you are already operating from a weakened gut point. You're already operating from a very from a state of inflammation. So you're going to have a worse breakout of any disease. If you actually are having a disease, it will be a worse outcome. Also, if you are indulging in excessive smoking and alcohol, it will also weaken your gut. And specific kind of foods, like processed foods. By processed, I mean the packaged, bottled, the ready to eat mixes, the foods that are refined, there are foods that are actually extremely refined in nature, which are sugars, your salt rich foods, which are basically added to your foods to increase shelf life, to maintain shelf life. Your carbonated beverages, excessive caffeine as well will weaken your gut lining. All these particular foods are the ones that will actually cause inflammation. And if your body is operating from a place of inflammation, then you are going to have a worse outcome of COVID. All right. So remember that these particular factors must be kept in mind when you are trying to help your body and help yourself to prevent or to just maintain good health and maintain good immunity as well, right? These factors must be taken into consideration as well. So as I said earlier, the focus should be on picking foods that are natural. By natural, I mean that are present in nature, right? Foods that are basically whole in nature, not processed, that have the outer layer or the fiber retained. If the focus is more on local seasonal items, it's even better. All right, freshly home cooked meals are a lot better because they don't have preservatives, no additives, no chemicals added to it, no stabilizers to increase shelf life. So those products should be the focus. And definitely picking foods that are naturally having that sweetness to it, instead of having a sugar food which is refined sugar rich, like a processed sugar, like a white sugar or a brown sugar for that matter. Pick foods that are naturally having a sweet taste. Like dates, for instance, can be used to sweeten your foods. You can use a little bit of jaggery to sweeten your foods. A little bit of raisins. Black raisins are sweet too. Cinnamon, nutmeg, right? Your fruits are naturally sweet in nature. All these should be focused on, as opposed to the foods that are going to deter or they're going to actually weaken your gut lining. And personally, even I feel that your gut lining, your gut is the focus of your health, because your gut determines not just your digestion, your absorption, but also your immunity and your mental well-being. All right. So your gut is really the focus out here when it comes to immunity. Great. Now, before I move forward, does anyone know the key nutrients that are important to maintain good immunity when it comes to COVID in particular, right? when it comes to your upper respiratory organs and your, your health in general, when it comes to COVID, because it affects your throat, your lungs in particular. What are the key nutrients that are very, very important? Does anyone know that? I think we can have the poll as well. So we have a very important question out here before I move forward and introduce the particular nutrients. Does doubling up on nutrients double your immune response? I'm going to discuss some key nutrients today, and we have a couple of answers coming in as well. So we have people telling us vitamin C, zinc, and all these important nutrients are crucial. And I completely agree with you on that. But does doubling up on nutrients, as I said earlier as well, in fact, for instance, people, they feel that if you can take a zinc supplement or a vitamin C supplement in double doses, it will amp up your immunity, right? This is what the common notion is. So what do you feel? Do you think that it is going to double up your immunity and it's going to give you more protection? All right. So we have the answers that have come in, and majority of them have said no, which is a very good response. And I'm really happy with it, because doubling up on nutrients, as I mentioned earlier too, right, does not necessarily mean your immune system is working doubly well. Now think of your immune system to be like a live orchestra. All right. Now in a live orchestra, what happens? Different instruments have to be played in a particular frequency, right? You see that people are playing the piano, the violin, the different instruments are being played, the flute is being played, and all have to be played in a particular frequency for good music. Similarly, different nutrients have to be had in the right amount, optimum amount for good immunity. All right. And I will come to the fact that why does doubling up on nutrients not always cause the best effect in our body or the best impact on our immune system. All right. So let's go forward now by discussing the 5 key nutrients to support your immunity. All right. These 5 nutrients, I have, mentioned them as 5 fingers for easy understanding. The number 1 important nutrient is protein. All right. Number 2 is vitamin C. Number 3 is zinc, vitamin D, and gut-friendly foods. All right. I'll discuss each of these 5 nutrients at length right now. The first important nutrient is protein. All right. Now, protein, as we all know, is very commonly heard about when it comes to muscle health, gym goers, athletes, those who want to lose weight, tone up, right? But we don't understand protein's importance when it comes to our hormonal health. Do you know that protein actually makes up most of your hormones? It is, in fact, the precursor of your hormones. In fact, protein, when it comes to your antibodies, all right, which is very crucial to immunity, it is a key factor to make and form those antibodies. So your antibodies will not be formed if you have no protein, right? So protein is broken down into amino acids in your body, and this is what is required to repair your tissues from damage, to protect your cells, to protect your tissues as well, and to form antibodies. So please consume your protein-rich items, all your lentils, your legumes, your eggs, your lean meat, your tofu, your soya bean, your yogurt, your paneer, all these must be consumed as a part of your everyday routine. A simple, way to approach protein-rich foods is at least 30% of your plate at each of your meals, lunch, dinner, breakfast, should be a protein source. All right. Not just it not only buffers your blood glucose, it keeps you fuller for a longer period of time. And guess what? Protein will help you with maintaining good weight as well. It will help you maintain good health also. As I said, it makes the antibodies, it will aid in immunity. Now, for those who are vegan, vegetarian, this common question is that I don't eat meat, I don't eat eggs. How do I meet my protein requirement? So the simple solution to that is that please try and have your sprouted lentils and legumes. The minute you sprout a lentil and legume, you increase the protein content by 30%. So your thin dals and thin curries might not be as a potent source of protein as opposed to your sprouted lentils and legumes. Even for those who want to consume a natural protein powder, have your roasted chickpea powder called sattu. That's a natural protein powder that can be taken every day. Add to your smoothies, add to your soups, add to your chillas and attas. great to be had on an everyday basis. It's a great protein source, a slow digesting source for those who are vegetarian and vegan. All right. And for somebody who wants to know that what is the average amount of protein to be eaten, you should take your ideal body weight and multiply that by 1. So your recommended dietary protein intake is 1 gram per kg body weight. So this should be the ideal body weight, not your current body weight, and you should multiply that by 1. So if your ideal body weight is 50, you take it, multiply by 1, and gives you 50 grams of protein on a typical day. All right. So remember these simple tips when it comes to protein. And the next important nutrient is vitamin C, as most of you all mentioned. Now, vitamin C, we know, is known to be an antioxidant, right? But does anyone know that why vitamin C is important in immunity? Why is it so important? You can probably just put your answers in the chat box as well. And we have a question about protein shakes too. So definitely protein shakes, they are, the very popular items right now in the market, and they are being taken by most people. My recommendation would be, my 2 bits would be that you definitely first focus on the natural protein, foods out there. Focus on the natural protein foods. And then if you feel the availability is less, if there is less access, if you feel you're not able to meet your requirements, if you have an illness, for instance, a protein supplement can be taken as an add-on. But definitely a protein supplement is not a replacement to an ideal good eating way or a good meal plate pattern. All right. So don't use a protein shake as a meal replacement. Use it as an add-on or a supplement to help address your
Hello, Karina, you there? I think there is some network issue at her end. We'll give a few minutes to join then. Please wait for a few minutes. She's trying to join back.
Hey, Kushbu, in the meantime, until we're waiting for Karina to join back, how are you finding the session so far?
You all can, post your questions as well meanwhile.
Yeah, let's just get all the questions here, and as soon as
Yeah.
she's back, we can start addressing them.
We have a poll on your screens. Can you please take a moment to, respond to it? Also, I have just posted a feedback form in the chat box. Please ensure that you respond to it as well. It will help us capture your feedback and analyze the session at the end. Thanks. In 10 seconds, I will close the NPS poll. Please, who've not responded, please try to respond.
Hi, I'm really sorry about the technical glitch from my end. I was trying to sign in for the last couple of minutes. I'm just going to re-share my screen and I'm going to resume the presentation and try and take you down the key nutrients again. Sorry for the disturbance. I hope that I'm audible as well and you all can hear me. All right. Great. So vitamin C, as I said earlier as well, is a very important antioxidant. By the word antioxidant, I mean it protects against oxidation. And whenever your body is attacked by any kind of toxin or bacteria or virus, the first thing that happens is it tries to attack your body cells, right? It tries to multiply itself. In the case of virus, it will replicate itself and it will attack your own body cells, right? So we have to ensure that the body cells in question, your own body cells, are so protected that it will prevent any kind of damage from the toxins if they invade your body. So this antioxidant, which is vitamin C, will protect, it will shield your cells from damage. Okay, so today, if you have good amount of vitamin C in your body, it will have a protective role to shield your body against damage. So the sources of vitamin C are as follows. We know that vitamin C is present in many foods as well. The citrus fruits in particular, like oranges, your avla or Indian gooseberry, your grapefruit, your broccoli, your bell peppers, your drumstick, your leafy greens are all rich in vitamin C. All right. The best source of vitamin C, I would say, for somebody who wants to include it as a part of their everyday routine is your Indian gooseberry or your avla. This can be taken in many forms. You can take it as a chutney, as a pickle every day. You can have it as a juice or a small shot as well with water. All these are great ways to consume vitamin C in the form of avla as well. So now the recommended intake, which is recommended by the ICMR in India, is 90 milligrams a day. And this can be met through your sources of food, through your vitamin C sources. And if in case you have a deficiency, you can take a supplement as well as recommended by a professional. Please do not self-medicate and take the supplements on your own. Speak to a qualified GP or a doctor or a professional or a dietitian for that matter, and then only go ahead and have these supplements. Now, vitamin C is also water soluble. All right. So vitamin B and C are both water soluble. So I would recommend that if you're having it as a sabzi, if you're having your drumstick, your broccoli, any sabzi which requires cooking, right? Don't overcook them or don't steam them or boil them to a point where they lose all their nutrients, right? So your vitamin C will get evaporated because it is water soluble. So slightly saute it, have it in a form where it's not involving too much of heat damage. All right. Now, the next important nutrient is your zinc. As I said, zinc also plays a very key role, and many of you all mentioned that as well. Zinc helps in the development of your immune cells. So today, if you want your cells to be specialized, a baby cell to become a specialized adult grown up immune cell, that's when the development of the immune cell will come into place, and you will require some zinc. Now, zinc is a key nutrient that is present in foods like your animal foods as well, your animal sources like all your lean meats, your eggs, but I would recommend you having the plant-based sources and focus on that more. So your oats, your tofu, your chickpeas, your pumpkin seeds, your cashews, your peanuts are all great zinc sources, and include them as a part of your everyday regime. So have your zinc sources coming from a handful of nuts every day, or cooked lentils and legumes. Remember to soak them also overnight or at least for an hour. If you soak your lentils, if you soak your legumes, your chickpeas, your rajma, you are essentially removing the outer layer or the phytates. This outer layer of phytates interferes with the absorption of zinc in the body. And if you want better bioavailability of zinc, better absorption of zinc in the body, that outer layer of phytates will be loosened and come out if you soak your lentils and legumes and your oats also for a good 1 hour at least. All right. So for better absorption of zinc, these few key points must be kept in your mind. Now, apart from that, the globally, which is on the decline, we see that most people have deficiency of vitamin D, and people talk about that all the time. Every third, second person is having a deficiency, right? But vitamin D is nothing but extremely crucial when it comes to your respiratory health. And what we have seen also is there have been peer-reviewed journals published and evidence-backed research that says that in COVID, especially to beat the variants as well, vitamin D is crucial. So remember, get your blood work done, check for your levels of vitamin D, speak to your professional under supervision. If you're deficient in vitamin D, take a supplement. But the best vitamin D you can produce is through sunlight. If you expose yourself every day between 6 to 8 in the morning or 12 to 2 in the afternoon, you will get good UVB rays of sunlight, and your body produces vitamin D on exposure. So the minute the sunlight hits your skin, there's a cholesterol compound right beneath your skin which gets activated and produces vitamin D in your body, right? So the best source is, of course, your sunlight, your UVB rays. And if you cannot clock in that every day, as I said, you can have a supplement as well. Few food sources that have a minuscule or micro amount of vitamin D present in them are your fortified foods. There are foods that are getting fortified or enriched with vitamin D, like your milk, your dairy products, your yogurt. There's also, in the market right now, juices that are being fortified with vitamin D. But a simple rule is to have your sunlight. The first best source is your sunlight. And of course, you can also have some mushrooms, some egg yolks. All those also have a small amount, a minuscule amount of vitamin D present in them. However, they might not be as bioavailable. So as I said, the best way is to clock in the sunlight, and if in case you are deficient, a supplement can be taken. All right. Now, does anyone know what the gut-friendly foods are? I spoke about 4 nutrients so far. The 5th important one is your gut-friendly foods. Do you know what entails gut-friendly food? Does anyone know that? I'm going to quickly just open the chat box. Okay, someone said yogurt, someone said Yakult. All these are equally contributing towards our gut health. That's absolutely right, correct? So your yogurt, your Yakult all have the live bacteria culture inside it, the fermented culture, to help increase your gut health, right? We all know that it's very, very important. Now, a couple of people have asked me about sunlight at what time. As I said, the UVB rays, will be present in the morning between 6 to 8 and afternoon between 12 to 2. All right. And for someone who wants to get in good vitamin D, who's a vegetarian and they want to use food as a mechanism to get in vitamin D, mushrooms are good to be consumed. And for someone who wants to consume some fortified foods, if you're okay with having foods that are enriched with vitamin D or fortified with vitamin D, you can take the dairy products like, few yogurts have vitamin D in them, few juices have vitamin D in them currently. So those can be purchased. All right. Now coming back to the probiotic groups, we said the probiotic rich foods are going to aid in gut health. And what is gut? Gut is nothing but your bad and good bacteria both. You have to ensure the population of the good bacteria outnumber the bad bacteria in your gut for good biosis. You don't want dysbiosis. All right, you want good biosis in your gut. And as I said, your gut will determine your immunity directly. And in fact, your gut will also determine your mental health. Remember, all your happy hormones are manufactured in your gut. So for not just immunity, but also for good brain health and to boost your mental health, you want to ensure good digestion. So all your probiotic rich foods like your yogurt, your buttermilk, your foods like your pickle, your homemade pickle with a little bit of lemon, turmeric, all those can be taken, right? Even your idli, dosa, dhokla are fermented. Those can be used as well. All these foods are known to be good to enrich your gut with the good bacteria. Pro means for, biota means the microbiome of your gut. The word probiotic means the good bacteria to aid your gut health. They are like friends for your gut. All right. Now, apart from that, you also have prebiotic rich foods, which are crucial. The word pre means before, biota means the microbiome of your gut. So prebiotics are nothing but the food for the good bacteria. Just like you need food to survive, similarly, the good bacteria in your gut require some food to thrive. Even they are living organisms. So you require some fiber-rich foods that are prebiotic in nature. Vegetables, fruits, onions, garlic, all of these are essential to be consumed. All right. Some superfoods that you can consume are foods like your garlic, your ginger, your mustard. All those are superfoods for your tract, for your respiratory tract, and those can be taken on an everyday basis in your food. As raw, raw garlic can be taken in a little bit of water. All these aid with your lung health to prevent the mucus formation and to clear your passage. All right. And as I said earlier as well, that remember that your body can go into overdrive if you have a particular nutrient in excess. All right. So remember to ensure that you're having the right kind of nutrient in the right amount. All right. The optimum amount is very, very crucial when it comes to the right nutrients. So if you're having too much of zinc, people have been admitted in the hospital now for having too much of zinc. In fact, it's called zinc toxicity. All right. So be careful, be cautious, and consume the nutrients on supervision of a doctor or a professional and have them in the optimum amount for the right period of time. All right. Because your cells can go into overdrive as well. All right. Now, apart from that, apart from the nutrients that I've discussed so far, there are some key recipes that are very, very crucial as well. These key recipes can be used on an everyday basis to help immunity. There's your avla chutney, which can be made vitamin C rich. You can include it with a little bit of coriander, green chilies and jaggery. Make it like a nice paste and have it with your foods. You can also have an immunity kara, which is known to have tulsi, black pepper, turmeric, and ginger in it as well. All right. So can we have the poll, please? Before I move forward, we can have the poll. So before I move forward, I want to, I want most of you all to answer this question before I move ahead with the slides. Mega dosing on a supplement like vitamin C, will it prevent COVID? All right. So as I discussed earlier as well, the right dosage and the right amount is what is important. Overdosing on a supplement like zinc or vitamin C will not be beneficial. It will not double up your immunity. All right. So I'm happy that most of you have answered the question as no. This means that most of you have understood the reasoning behind not doubling up on supplements. All right. Great. All right. So as I said, these particular nutrients and these particular 5 key nutrients are crucial, and these recipes can be used on an everyday basis. Even a moong dal porridge for those who are battling COVID or recovering from COVID as well. This porridge is a very good protein rich recipe which can be had for those who are trying to aid their body in digestion. The focus should be on immunity when you are sick as well. So this is a very simple recipe. You take green moong, which is packed with like your herbs and spices, like your black pepper, cumin, pink salt, turmeric, all these can be included on an everyday basis and include that in the porridge or the khichdi as well, and make a nice porridge or a khichdi for that matter, and have that as a everyday dinner or a snack recipe too. All right. Now a sample plan for somebody who as well, but on a just simply put, for somebody who's trying to battle this disease and who wants to prevent or who wants to recover quickly as well, you can follow this simple meal plate pattern. What you can do is in the morning, wake up and have that simple kada recipe, have the breakfast which includes the soft oats or soft eggs, have some chila which is protein rich. A mid meal could be a juice like a beetroot carrot juice, which is vitamin A rich, or you can have a vitamin C rich spinach juice. Any of these can be included. For lunch, again, some dal rice or curd rice can be taken, which is very easy for your body to digest. For snacks also, to help your body from recovering and to help your body with that potassium, that extra iron, you can take a date or a khajur. A soup can be taken. So focus should be on soft foods, semi-solid foods. All of those can be taken. And for dinner, again a vegetable khichdi or a moong dal khichdi or a vegetable dalia, a dal rice combination or cereal pulse combination is absolutely essential. It gives you the right carbohydrates and the protein with the zinc in the right amount. All right. And you also can wrap up your day with a kada again. Some foods to completely avoid when you're battling with COVID are foods that are extremely cold in temperature, that are preserved for a long period of time. Avoid your red meat, avoid foods that are heavy in nature, like your cream-based preparations, your butter-based preparations, your cheese-based preparations. Avoid foods that are extremely difficult to digest. So even your salads that are raw should be avoided. Have more cooked foods. Have foods that will actually help clear the mucus in your throat, and foods that will actually prevent or protect you from getting that, that will prevent or protect your body against damage. All right. Now, after COVID also, many of us are battling with fatigue, with tiredness, with restlessness. We are not able to, take care of ourselves. We are having low energy levels and we're not able to bounce back that well or easily too. So the few symptoms that we have are, of course, cough, that lingers on. We have sleep problems, we have fatigue as well. So couple of important nutrients that must be kept in mind are 3 nutrients: magnesium, nitrates, and omega-3 fatty acids. All right. So I'm going to try and take you through these last 3 nutrients, and then we can probably just wrap up and take questions as well. These key nutrients are magnesium, which is very, very important because it helps us relax our muscles. So for anyone who has fatigue, body ache post-COVID, right, any muscle ache, please have your magnesium-rich walnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, and cashews. All right, all these, even your avocados and spinach, are good magnesium sources. Apart from that, your omega-3 fatty acids, which are your healthy fats, which are present in walnuts, chia, flax, even a little bit of fish or nut oils, can be taken because those are anti-inflammatory. They protect your body against inflammation post-COVID. All right. And also to help you relax a little, your nitrate-rich foods like your beetroot, pomegranate will ease the blood flow in your body and cause better blood circulation. All right. Great. So now I'm going to take questions from the audience, even though we have a couple of slides remaining, which are just simple general guidelines. I'm going to open the forum now for questions. All right.
Everyone, you can post your questions direct to Karina, or you can mention them on the chat box. Karina, I think, we have 2 questions which we can take first then. So first question is, what foods we should take which increase overall stamina in the body?
Right. So overall stamina is dependent upon how well your iron reserves are, how good your hemoglobin levels are in your blood. We all know that our red blood cells are important for carrying out all the functions to transport that oxygen to our organs and our muscles. So for good energy, we need our organs and our muscles to be oxygenated. And for oxygen to be carried and transported throughout your body, you require good hemoglobin levels. All right. So make sure your hemoglobin levels are good or adequate. And for hemoglobin levels to be adequate, three important nutrients. Number one, protein. Number two, iron. And number three, B12 and folate. All right. So all these three are extremely essential when it comes to managing your stamina. Why? Because they directly influence your levels of hemoglobin. So for iron, I would say your few foods to be consumed are like bajra. You can have garden cress seeds or halim or olive seeds. You can have something called poha, which is actually very good for iron reserves. You can have dates or khajur, as I mentioned earlier too. It's packed with iron. You can take some folate and B12 rich supplements also, or you can focus on your protein rich foods, as I said, like all your lentils, legumes, eggs, nuts, seeds. All these can be taken for maintaining good stamina. All right. Make sure your blood pressure is in check. And for someone who has low BP also, that affects your stamina. So your electrolyte balance should be maintained. Sodium and potassium have to be in good equilibrium. All right. So potassium levels again will be dependent upon your foods like your banana, coconut water. All this will influence your stamina and your energy levels. So for somebody who wants to maintain good energy throughout the day, remember that number one, if you're losing your electrolytes through sweat, if you are stressed, always keep a banana in your handbag or in your next to your desk. Keep 2 dates in your tiffin. All these will help you. Simple snacks to carry at work also, or to keep around you to maintain your stamina. All right.
Sure. A note to everyone: we are extending the session, for the Q&A. So please keep the questions coming. Till then, Karina will take another question. So someone wants to know the nutrient intake for a pregnant lady, especially with the concerns of gestational diabetes. Can you please highlight? Yeah.
Right. So for someone who wants to stay clear of, who wants to not fall in the loop of any diseases when they are pregnant, of course, pregnancy is a phase where it is absolutely sensitive and you have to take care of the nutrients. So folate, iron, calcium, these supplements are recommended by every doctor to be taken for the good pregnancy, for the development of the baby's brain also, and the baby's brain too, and the baby for being the proper health of the child and the mother. But or want to prevent diabetes in general, make sure your fiber intake is optimum. All right. So fiber is something which is an anti-nutrient, which actually protects your body. It will buffer your body. It will keep your blood glucose stable. So if you want your blood glucose to not rise and fall quickly, which is seen in diabetes, or which is seen in insulin resistance, make sure your fiber intake is optimum. So every day at lunch, breakfast, dinner, at 3 main meals, at least 50% of your plate should be a good fiber rich source, like a vegetable. All right. So 50% of your plate, if it's a vegetable like a spinach, methi, any gourd, any other kind of vegetable which you enjoy eating, you're not only clocking in your antioxidants, but you're also having a good amount of fiber, which will prevent any kind of glucose up and down or roller coaster in your glucose levels, and thus preventing or protecting you against diabetes. All right. So first thing is have more fiber in your meals from vegetables. Second important thing is protect yourself and try and restrict the amount of processed foods and outside ready to eat foods, because those might be having too many processed chemicals, additives, refined sugar, sweets added to it. So prevent and restrict that and focus more on the home cooked meals more. That should be the focus.
Sure. We have one very interesting question. So it says, how to gain weight in a healthy manner?
Right. So for somebody who wants to put on weight, definitely I would say that it does not mean that you actually have all the possible foods available around you. You have weight to ensure that coming from the you have muscle weight is what is contributing towards your weight, not your fat percentage, right? So your muscle weight has to, because your body is made up of different, if you're, for instance, checking your body composition, also your weight should come from not just fat percentage, but also muscle, good muscle weight, right? So to ensure good muscle weight and to increase your body weight from muscle weight, I would say have good protein rich foods. And your good protein rich foods are your lentils, your legumes, your sprouts, your sattu. All these should be included every day. For somebody who wants to put on weight, I would say have a sattu smoothie every day, at least twice a day. You know, instead of having a protein smoothie, have a sattu smoothie and have it with some oats and banana. Have 2 dates in the morning, right? Have all these foods that will actually help you put on weight the right, correct way. All right.
Understood. Any more questions, guys? Karina, I have one question. So while you were explaining about the lining of the gut, and so is the leaky gut, the same which you were explaining?
Yes.
And yeah.
Correct. So leaky gut again is a syndrome. Leaky gut is a more progressive problem which occurs after your gut gets extremely weak. When these cells, when there are too many gaps between your cells, any kind of toxin can easily seep through. That leads to a leaky gut syndrome. All right, which can be a precursor to diseases also and inflammation in your body. So it's very important to understand that your weakened gut lining, if it continues for a long period of time and you continue to inhabit these habits like excessive smoking, alcohol, stress, bad eating pattern, focus on processed foods as well, it will lead to a leaky gut syndrome in the future. All right, so the focus should be that you enhance your gut health, make sure your gut is good, is strong, and you support your immunity also by maintaining good gut health, right? So gut health is something which is very, very crucial when it comes to immunity, digestion, absorption, and as I keep saying, your mental health and well-being too.
Right. Yeah. Yes, we have a question. So, does intermittent fasting contribute to overall health?
So intermittent fasting, which is, focusing on the time period of eating, right? That is also, extremely popular currently. In the last few years, we've seen that intermittent fasting has proved to be beneficial. And there have been many studies done also on intermittent fasting to prove its benefits for somebody who is a diabetic, who wants to reverse diabetes, who wants to lose weight, who wants to maintain more muscle health. So of course, intermittent fasting has some good results, some good benefits for somebody who wants to actually reverse their, glucose intolerance or insulin resistance for that matter, provided it's done the right way. So for those who are doing it without supervision, I would say definitely do not do that, because if it is done without supervision, you can fall into low blood pressure, low sugars, because you are maintaining long hours of fasting in a day, right? So basically you are eating only within a certain window. And if you're maintaining too long hours of fasting without following it the right way with the right nutrients and breaking your fast the right way, if you don't have that knowledge, right, you will not be able to do the intermittent fasting. It will lead to, in fact, more problems like acidity, gas, low BP, low sugar. So remember that you have to do it. It has some benefits, of course, but it is not applicable to everyone. So it's not applicable to a pregnant lady for sure. For somebody who has thyroid, I would not recommend intermittent fasting. So it depends on the individual. It's highly individualistic. I cannot give you a umbrella generalized kind of approach towards intermittent fasting. It is highly dependent upon what that person's medical background is.
Sure. So we have two more questions. So Prem says, can you please mention diet chart for child health?
All right. So again, a child, depending upon what age group the child is in, if it's a adolescent, if it's someone who's, in the infant period. So based on that, the energy requirements change. Like for a child who's within 1 year of age, definitely breast milk is the go-to nutrition. It has all the possible nutrients. For a child who's between 5 to 12 years of age, there'll be different nutrients required. Right? So it will highly depend upon what age group the child is in. And based on that, we will chart out the energy requirements, the protein requirement, the calcium and the iron requirements. All these are key nutrients when it comes to a child's growth in particular.
Okay, so another question from Vijay is, what vegetarian options or supplements are best for vitamin B12? Mostly B12 deficiency in common people. Yeah, that's
Right.
Mm.
So just like vitamin D, even B12 is seen very commonly being low or deficient in people who are vegetarian or vegan. I would say that, of course, supplements is one way of clocking in the B12. B12 is also present in a small amount in mushrooms as well. So you can have some mushrooms. B12 is also present in for those who are consuming eggs. B12 is present in that. But I would say for those who are not consuming eggs, the best way to consume B12 or to have that is either you having your yogurt, have your buttermilk, have your mushrooms, or then the supplements. All right, this is the only way to approach, because for somebody who is not having the non-veg items like your chicken, your lean meat, your fish, your egg yolk, that's where most of the vitamin D lies actually.
Right, right. Also we have a question from Gopi. So what's your opinion on, fasting one day in a week? Or also, there are people who are fasting on Ekadashi, that is, in quarterly. So, I mean, what's your take? I mean, in 15 days, right? Yeah.
Right. So
Mm-hmm.
again, fasting can be done provided you are somebody who's okay with fasting. People have been
Mm-hmm.
fasting since our ancestors' time, right? And it does prove to be beneficial. It's almost like putting your body in a bit of a detox or in a bit of a mode of cleanse, right?
Mm-hmm.
So fasting, if done the correct way, even in fasting, there are certain rules to follow, right? You eat foods that are carb rich to give you that instant energy. You eat foods that are basically fruits or milk, or you have some nuts, or you focus on only simple foods that are like like your sabudana or your tapioca beads, right? All those are focused on. So I would say that if you're doing fasting, also make sure you're doing it the right way with supervision. All right, don't just fast and go long hours without eating, without having the knowledge of it.
Right, right. Any more questions? Karina, I have a question again. So, on social media, we see a statement floating that, whatever we eat is, not above than what we assimilate. Can you maybe, highlight on this?
Right. So, there's a very popular saying which goes that you are what you eat, right? But
Hmm.
in the current scenario, we have seen the amount of studies that have gone down about gut health, about digestion. You are actually what you absorb. So, you might be having all the possible nutrients, but if you don't absorb it well, if you don't actually, digest it, absorb it, right? If you don't actually have those ingredients in the right amount, which is bioavailable, then you're not essentially having the proper nutrition, right? Because if you're not absorbing it, how are you going to reap the benefits of it, right? And assimilation is a part of that. Assimilation also involves like collecting the food with the right amounts and the right combination, right? Today vitamin C has to be had in combination with iron, because iron and vitamin C in combination will aid in absorption of iron in the body. Iron on its own will not be as well absorbed, right? So right foods in the right combination, having that knowledge of it is equally important. And as I said, digestion is your key, because digestion is where everything is absorbed, assimilated, absorbed. That's where the key nutrients are actually taken up by your body and utilized as reserves.
Right, right. So, I think we are okay. We have one question from Prem. Can you please mention detoxifying food in daily routine?
So again, detoxifying foods, as I said, the word detox again is a catchphrase, because your body has a natural mechanism to actually detox. So your liver is a detox organ, which actually helps in detoxing all the ingredients. Your kidney will excrete all the urine and the toxins. So basically, your body has its natural built-in mechanism to detox. But for those who are feeling they need a bit of a cleanse, I would say that a diet which is going to help them with aiding in digestion or easing in the digestion mechanism will be key to detoxing or cleansing, right? So foods like your khichdi, cereal pulse combination, all these, like your porridges, simple soups, simple juices, those can be had to help you detox. If you are somebody who has maybe, let's say, had periods of foods where you have gone overboard, depended upon outside food for a long period of time, where you have abused your body and had a lot of processed items, then you can go on a bit of a detox, as people like to put it, to kind of help your body again go into system of rejuvenation and relaxation, because these foods are extremely easy to absorb and digest, and that's why they're known to be detox foods. But your body itself can naturally detox too.
Understood. So, okay. I think we don't have any more questions. But any closing statement, Karina, then?
Right. So, I'm really glad that I got to address most of the, queries out here. But as I said initially, also, it's not only about your diet, it's also about the lifestyle factors that you are taking care of apart from diet, which is your stress levels, which is, of course, your sleep routine, which I didn't get to address at length, and of course, your physical regime as well, right? So, make sure that all these pillars of health are kept in mind, and you are cautious of these kind of the approach you actually take towards your health when it comes to these 4 pillars of health. So maintain your good sleep routine, make sure you're keeping a good hobby or some kind of activity to just kind of de-stress your mind as well every day. Try and clock in that physical activity 30 minutes every day, and of course maintain your good meal plate pattern too.
Thanks, Karina. So Ketan says her daughter has a crush on Sid. Can you pass on his number to him?
I will try to do that.
Okay, then I think we don't have any more questions. It was very insightful discussion, Karina. I am sure the audience had a lot of learning. So thanks a ton for joining us.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening in.
Thank you. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.